over to Curry, back to Iguodala, up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. Won't go. Rebound Box. Back out to Allen. His three-pointer. Bang! Top. Lillard, long-range three.
3 seconds left. Cleveland triggers in. James, 2 seconds. 1 second for the win.
Hello and welcome back to Minardi Madness. This week I have some more playoff coverage for you, and today I'm going to be talking about just the courses of all 4 playoff series so far. So the day of recording this is Thursday, and we'll have a game for the Wolves vs. Nuggets series tonight, as well as Game 6 for the Knicks vs. Pacers, which will decide how the rest of the series goes. So let's just talk about the Knicks vs. Pacers to start. I talked about it last week when they were 2-0. Really all dogs on that Knicks roster. And after losing 2 games in Indiana, one by a game winner, but the next by a blowout, they lose Anunoby for the rest of the playoffs and sort of played dead for that whole Game 4. But Indiana made a big mistake, and that was just poking the bear. Really just lit a spark in the whole Knicks team. And what I love about them is there's just no excuses at all for this Knicks team. So many guys lost from injury, and now they lose Anunoby too. They just took the hits, and they locked in for Game 5. And what a Game 5 it was for the Knicks. When I'm talking about dogs, I'm thinking about Isaiah Hartenstein. Maybe not scoring a ton, 7 points, but really locked in and gave his best effort to clean up the glass every single time. 17 boards, a block, some putback points, and extra offensive rebounds from him in that first half. That really got the team going. In fact, 12 of his 17 total rebounds were on the offensive side. So this could kind of go for the whole team too. When it truly matters, they just step up and they get that extra board, like DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, always coming in clutch in the end with those kinds of rebounds. Once again, just all dogs, and I think that they want it more. Times like when DiVincenzo is talking it up with Miles Turner and a little bit of beef starts. Those are just those kind of things that you love to see in an entertaining series and kind of letting a spark for your team. But overall, great team performance in Game 5. Obviously, Brunson standing out the most, 44 points, his 5th 40-point game of this postseason. Only 5 of those points were free throws, just for anyone trying to say that he's a free throw merchant or something like that. So Miles McBride stepping up too with all these injuries. 17 points alongside Josh Hart having 18. But now heading into Indiana to try and close this one out in Game 6. They just have to keep that same mentality that there's no excuses no matter the amount of injuries that they face. So every guy needs to step up once again, just like Game 5. And if they do, which I believe they will, I know a lot of people think that Boston's going to destroy them. And I wouldn't be shocked to see the Knicks keep going, just because of Boston's reputation to lose like that at some point in the playoffs because of how much more it just looks like this Knicks roster wants it. But now I'm going to move on. The next series I'll be talking about is the Timberwolves versus Nuggets series. And I think it's safe to say by the way I spoke last week when they went up 2-0, I really spoke way too soon. Denver just adjusted after being outmatched in those first 2 games. And when Jokic and the rest of this Nuggets roster has things figured out, they're just on a roll and too hard to stop. And what really makes me mad about the Timberwolves is Rudy Gobert. Personally, I think Wemby should have won Defensive Player of the Year over Gobert. Gobert isn't even really showing this series that he's deserving of the award. Obviously, Jokic is super tough to guard, but he's just cooking Rudy, like absolutely frying him. So backtracking to Game 4, I think in this one, Anthony Edwards really needed Cat to step up, Gobert a little too. 44 points on great efficiency, and as I talked about all those guys around him last week, who really makes this team what they are, it looked like the Wolves were kind of lacking good play from all of those guys. And I think they needed Cat the most in this one. Not a great shooting night, 5 for 18. And when he plays good, just the whole Wolves team plays good. So in this one, Ant really tried to give it all he could, but didn't end up being enough. And now looking at Game 5, it was actually a little bit different. Ant did not have as huge of a performance in this one. Only 18 points, 5 from 15 shooting from the floor, as well as 4 turnovers. So pretty good game from Cat in this one. 23 points, 10 for 19 shooting. But this point they didn't get as big of a performance from their star Anthony Edwards. So kind of unfortunate for them. All their guys aren't stepping up at the right time. But the other problem for them is also just Jokic and the Nuggets figured out their offensive problems from games 1 and 2. And now Jokic is once again just frying the Wolves. 40-point double-double from Jokic. Checks out on how they lost this one. So now after a 2-0 start, Wolves are now back down to 2-3. And now tonight, Thursday night, they're going to try and keep this series alive back at home. And I think they still have a slight chance of winning the series. They just really need to all come out with that same intensity we saw earlier and learn to somehow stop Jokic. I think Gobert's really going to have to step up on D. But moving on, though, I have 2 other playoff series to talk about. Don't go anywhere. I'll be discussing the Celtics versus Cavs right after the short break. Welcome back, getting right into this series. So Wednesday night, Celtics take down the Cavs in Game 5. And so far, so good for the Celtics. Won both series that they played in 5, although definitely not too much of a challenge with a lot of injuries on both teams. And the Cavs obviously struggled a little bit with their best player in Donovan Mitchell being out. But they really needed Darius Garland to try and fill in that void for them, especially with Karis LeVert being ruled out too for Game 5. He's been making a big impact. Garland tried his best. Game 4 is pretty decent, but Game 5 just not at all. 4 for 17 from the field. Actually, Evan Mobley had himself a great game. 33 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 blocks. But yeah, they really needed Garland to step up a little, and it just didn't happen. Celtics were able to put him away. Al Horford actually had himself a pretty good game in Game 5, 22 points and 6 threes. Good for him, especially after just looking so washed the whole series. He was just laying brick after brick, but way to stay in it. He made an impact in Game 5. Tatum, too, had a pretty good Game 5, 25 points on a good shooting night. But what I want him to do is realize that he's actually 6'8". There's a few games once in a while where Tatum actually realized he's 6'8", and he plays super aggressive, and that's when the Celtics just look unstoppable. But they're really going to need Tatum to play aggressive in the next series to take it to the NBA Finals, because with the amount of energy that the Knicks could bring game in, game out, no matter the injuries that they face, it's going to be tough for them, and they're going to need all their guys, especially Tatum, playing aggressive and locked in. But Celtics should get Porzingis back, and when they do, it could be extremely tough for the Knicks to win. Once again, they just need that aggressive Jason Tatum. Also, Derek White's been doing his thing, pretty good play, but I'll be excited to see if the Celtics will end up playing the Knicks. I think they will. It's going to be a great series to watch. But moving on, for the last series I'll be talking about, we're looking at Thunders versus Mavs, and Mavericks jump out to a 3-2 lead on Wednesday night. It's looking kind of rough for the Thunder now, down 2-3, and Luka looks pretty healthy after suffering, a pair of injuries in his knee and stuff. Kyrie's playing good ball, whether he's scoring or whether he's not. He's just always making an impact, and the team as a whole really just looks much, much better than last series, in my opinion. Team chemistry looks great. PJ Washington has been stepping up big as well. Game 5, Derek Jones Jr. looks great too, catching lobs from Luka and just continuously getting above the rim. 19 in this one. Obviously, Luka, too, good game for him. 31-point triple-double to get the Mavs one game away from this conference finals. But just a few things quick about this series. One is just that many people like to say SGA is a foul baiter. Really, I don't agree. I think he's the best player in the series, and he's been doing his thing. If anything, Luka is the biggest foul baiter, and it gets really hard to watch sometimes, the way he's flopping his body around And not only that, but just constantly crying to the refs about a call. Great player who's doing his thing, but, man, it gets annoying to watch him cry about the calls every game, especially the announcers talking about it too. But as I said before, I really think Shea's the best player in this series. 30 points in Game 5, averaging over 30 in the series. And I think what the Thunder needs is just a little bit more from Jalen Williams and Chet Holmgren. J-Dub, 12 in this game. Chet with 13. Not bad, but just when Jalen gets over 20 and Chet is scoring effectively, Thunder just looks so much better. And they could use just a little bit more from those bench guys too. But just overall, Shea's been doing his thing, and the Thunder are really going to need another guy to step up big to win these next 2 games. For now, though, series sits at 3-2. Thanks for watching today, and stay tuned for next week as we'll be heading into the conference finals.